let's talk about aiming for more clients. What would you suggest? Okay, when you say more clients, what that makes me think is you are an agency that already has some clients, okay? And it's like, well, we've got some, but the rigor it took to get those clients was a bit much. How do we start stacking them up and all of that? Well, let me actually just set a couple of foundational pieces. I think you should always have a niche, okay? I'm just gonna say that I know that some people come in and they think that, well, I'll just kind of play around, play the field and see what fits best. I think that's a bad idea. I think you should pick one, stick with it, and everything becomes a lot easier there. If you've seen the videos I've been doing on YouTube about selling, I think over the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been everything that has a red thumbnail on the YouTube video is all about sales, right? And for me, it becomes a lot easier if you have a niche, all right? Now, that dovetails into the question of, let's say I'm aiming for more clients, all right? So that if you're aiming for more clients, you were able to get some clients. It's really interesting. What you did to get those clients is basically the same thing you need to do to get the other clients. And the process normally, when you're talking about getting clients, you're going to talk about the phase one is going and talking face to face, maybe not in person, but on the phone, talking to those people and getting to know them. All right. Why? Because you have to know who they are before you can start curating the next phase of your sales system. Okay. So talking to them in person so you can know who they are. And then you can make a VSL, which is what I've been working on this week, a VSL that actually works. Okay. Because nothing is worse than spending all your time creating a video sales letter and then putting it out there and like nobody watches it. Nobody opts in, nobody, nobody sees it. So you really have to know who they are so you can make a VSL. And that's what I'm working on this week. But just to tactically say, what would I do? I would talk to people in person first. I would network and get referrals. And then once I've kind of established that, I'd start doing VSLs and running ads to those. So Brian, I hope that's kind of a question. I'm happy to answer any follow-up questions. How do I prospect for clients? I am in the real estate niche, specifically wholesalers. Interesting. Okay, well, I don't know much about wholesaling. Okay, so I don't know. The first thing is where do those people congregate? Okay, where do you find them? Conferences, I don't know. Like, I don't know much about wholesalers, but generally speaking, when you're talking about prospecting for clients, okay, yeah, Facebook groups, awesome. Here's one of the things that if you know where to find them, then it becomes about how do you attract their attention. All right. Now, it's always about when you're thinking about getting the attention of a very specific group of people like this, you always have to think about what is the thing that's going to sell my thing. Okay. Because the knee-jerk reaction would be, okay, I go into this Facebook group. I know there's wholesalers here. I know that if I could just get them, I could get some business. And so you go out there and you say something like, hey, I'm running Facebook ads to get people more Facebook deals. And what do they think? Immediately they think sales pitch. You can't start there. Okay. Okay. So giving somebody, if you go into for example, if you go into a group like that, you'd say, hey, you guys, I ran this ad on Facebook and you should have seen how many, what do you call it? Buying opportunities it turned up for me. Here's the ad. Here's like why I think it worked. Let me know if you have any questions. Boom, post that in there. Okay. Now, in your own head, you're thinking, well, then they're just going to steal it from me. And I lost out on that business. And you might get out of 100 people, you might get 2 of them that do. But most people are going to be like, Okay, cool. Thank you for giving that to me. And you gave it to me asking nothing. Can you help me implement this? All right. Now all of a sudden you're having a conversation. So think about it like chess, right? If you see a move ahead of you and you're like, I'm going to sacrifice my pawn. So he comes over here, you know, the knight comes over here, and then I can take the bishop and go bam and nail him. Right. So don't ever, ever make the checkers move. Okay. You got to be strategic. Don't give up what you want most for what you want now. All right. I'm not 100% on what you're asking. However, I did this. I mean, I transitioned my full service SMMA to a now completely 100% SaaS Facebook ads platform. And here's the incredible thing. As soon as well, let me just back up. If you have clients and you run an SMMA, okay, the average retention, I think, is like 1.8 months. All right. As soon as I converted people over to SaaS, it like quadrupled overnight. Okay. That's something that I didn't quite understand. However, if you think about it, what is the story that's going on in an agency client's head? Maybe if you go back like 5-6 years ago, they were so excited about the prospect of running Facebook ads and all that kind of stuff that, you know, they would stick around longer. But the longer time frames go on, there's this recurring thing that happens. You start your ads, they're excited for the first couple weeks, then all of a sudden issues happen. Okay. The leads start to taper off, then bada bing, bada boom. They're like, I'm going to call the agency because I'm not getting leads at the same volume anymore. What's up? They call the agency, and then the agency, oh, don't worry, we'll optimize it, click. And then they start getting more leads. What do they immediately think? Those people aren't even doing their job. Like, what are they doing? And so when that happens over and over again, they start to just associate like the service of running ads and the retainers that people charge as not worth it. They think you just set it, forget it, and leave, right? So when you actually say, hey, the thing that we have that is so potent and so powerful is a library of proven ads that you can click and they go, right? When you change the dialogue, you actually change what it is that they're buying. And so automatically people just stick around, right? And what we tell them, that's why we want a really good onboarding process, is what we tell them. If you feel like the performance starts to taper, simply message into our team and request a soft reboot, and we'll make sure that your volume increases. So it's been a really slick transition for us. And what I like about it, here's what I really like about it. And I hope I articulate this well, because this is probably the biggest for building a really incredibly profitable agency. What I love about this is when I position my Facebook ads as such a cool thing, but also as like a standard, like kind of like, what am I trying to say here? Basically, when I say this is a commoditized service, now we have standardized lead generation. Now all of a sudden, everybody that is doing it the old way, they don't even look at them anymore, right? And now I can focus on the next thing, which for me, the next thing is, hey, so you're getting a bunch of leads, you're not getting as many appointments, right? So for me, my upsell to the next thing is really simple and really frictionless. So I love, it's been such a like, I don't know, it's just such a natural transition from software. Hey, you're getting all these leads. I think it's time to like pair up that software with some people who know how to do that. Those people obviously cost money. Their time is not free. Here's what that is. And then we increase the retention. The experiences are just so much better. Retargeting. I have a love-hate relationship with retargeting. Let me just post my flag in the ground. All right. I'm not opposed to retargeting, and it's actually on the roadmap. However, I think that there is a fundamental misunderstanding between what retargeting is used for within the context and the confines of local lead generation. Okay. For me, all of the things that UpHex delivers is all about direct response lead generation. Anything retargeting, this is me. It's just content. It's branding. Okay. Don't think that you're going to outsmart I mean, if you go in the file section of the Facebook group, there's a book called a guide to generation, local lead guide, whatever crap. I mean, I wrote about this. Like, that's why they have frequency. That's why you on a local lead generation campaign, it's cool that you get your frequency up high because it's organically retargeting. I think that 9.9 times out of 10, retargeting is a waste of money. And I've tested this in my agency. I kind of fell backwards into it, but retargeting for me is just a content machine. So just so you understand, it is within in the roadmap, but we're not going to be promoting it. I don't want this to turn into an e-commerce platform, right? I want the people, all of you guys here, to understand this is built to be a potent, simplified lead generation platform, not a platform where we're going to start surfing audiences and doing all this kind of crap where it loses its potency. So it's in the works, but as those things come out, we'll start talking about why and how to use them based on our own experience and opinions. All right, what are some good pitches that don't sound salesy in the real estate niche? That's a good question. I actually really like that. So I think part of being good, so obviously niching is a good thing, right? If you saw my video about how I learned to sell, like, it was in the real estate niche, mortgages, but I was selling to real estate agents. It's a good story about how I fell into like a very specific niche. But I think you can also niche in other ways, meaning right now you have a market that is turning from a seller's market into like a stagnant market in many parts of the country. And so it's not that people are not buying homes anymore. It's just that the fervor is gone. And so the people that are buying are taking their time, and maybe I think there's other dynamics that are at play right now. I think playing in to those dynamics is your opportunity right now. So for example, I was saying the other day that I really like event marketing. And what I would do, like, one idea that I would roll out to people is, my hook would be something as to, like, I would give away maybe like a guide on how to build a list of active buyers in the market using, Saturday events. Okay. And my Saturday event would be here in Idaho, where I live. We have these things called parade of homes. Like when the builders are building these houses, they'll do a parade of homes. So you go this house to this house to this house and see what they're all doing. I would do something akin to that. I would probably call it the parade of homes, which would be the best buying opportunities and the most motivated sellers, a list of them, right? So I would have people opt in for that. And then on Saturday, I would send the list out. Okay. So I would be getting opt-ins of people who are interested in this list. And then I would be sending out this list to engage them in that thing. Here's the cool thing. If you watch my video from yesterday, where I'm talking about a VSL, it's effectively the same thing. Okay. Where I'm saying, here's the benefit and here's the conditions around the benefit. But at the same time, I'm building this active list of people who are interested in buying in some way, shape, or form. Okay. So, people are wondering, what are the best deals? Who are the most motivated sellers? I feel like that taps into a market dynamic right now today. And I think it could be adaptable for any market, buyer market, seller market. So that would be something I would be leading with. But again, you give it away for free. Okay. You give these strategies, these tricks, these things, you give them a shortcut for free. And then when they claim it, you follow up on the back end and say, hey, that's awesome. What if we could help you do this? Hands off. You just focus on, converting those leads into contracts. All right. I guess first and foremost, it's like understanding that should be your hook. That shouldn't be the sales pitch. Okay. Meaning if you speak to a potential client and they're interested in actually running ads, like that's the thing that most people are not interested in running ads. Right. Some people are, some niches are aware that, hey, I've been running ads. So you could say, like in my niche, in the chiropractic niche, I might say something like, run your own ads in 3 clicks and with no experience requires no Facebook ad agency, right? Because the thing that they don't like are agencies anymore. And the thing that they're going to get is a simple solution without any experience. So those things make sense in that niche. Okay. But it's funny because I used to do demos where I would show people and demonstrate the platform. And then I had a friend tell me that he's like, you'll probably get more conversions if you just talk and if you stop showing people stuff. And damned if he wasn't right. I actually don't hardly ever show the platform. I'll talk about it. And people, obviously if they see our content, they see our website, then it's going to throw out those hooks. But when we're having a sales call is not about how cool my ad engine is. That's not what it's about. The sales call is, why are you on the call right now today? Tell me. Like we have to establish why you're on this call today. If it's because I want to hear about, I had this actually yesterday. If it's because I want to hear about your cool Facebook ads thing, about how it launches ads in 3 clicks, it's like, well, why? What do you want to run Facebook ads for? Right? Because that's the actual thing, right? That's the actual thing that you want to go at. So for me, I don't send follow-up proposals, follow-up emails that have anything like this, right? I'll use those things as a hook, okay? Because again, if I tap into that avatar, if I tap into my niche, chiropractors who are tired of agencies, I'll say, fire your agency, run ads with 0 experience in just 3 clicks. That's a good hook. Maybe I'll use that. Because I know it's going to tap into what they want. But that's not the sales conversation. That's just the attention hook. See what I mean? Hopefully that makes sense. Why do you offer a free trial? Ooh, this is a good question. Good question, Lori. Okay, why do you offer a free trial? I tried it this week and some were ready to sign, but seemed like they wouldn't continue after the trial. Ooh, Lori, you might love me after this. All right. What do you do for DIY clients after the long onboard? Okay, let's do one question at a time. Okay, cool, Jim. Why do I offer a free trial? Well, first of all, I have never done a free trial up until recently. And up until recently, I didn't do it only because to be honest with you, I didn't really think about it that much because I would have a sales funnel and I would get between, I don't know, 10 to 20 demo calls every week. So if it's not broken, then don't fix it. However, when UpHex started really picking up steam, I knew that I would need to remove myself from that part of my business and start focusing more on content creation, all that kind of stuff, really trying to say, hey, what have I learned over the years of doing this? And that's my job to give to you guys. So that's kind of where I've taken my role. However, it does leave a bit of a void within the agency because now I'm not doing demo calls anymore. So I thought to myself, well, if I'm not doing demo calls, there's a couple of boxes that I must check if I wanted to continue to obviously get clients, but I'm not really interested in having a big sales team that I manage. It's not really very interesting to me. Maybe a small team or like one person, just very small. So I started thinking about just the sales cycle and how I could get enough education and interest and then continue that process after a conversion. All right. So here's, Lori, what I do. The only people that are offered a free trial, all right, are people that either attend a workshop. So one of my webinars, geez. So they go through a webinar. That's number one. And the webinar tells a good story. It educates them on what it is. Okay. or they've gone through a bunch of different parts of my funnel and they make it out at the bottom, and then I'll do a 14-day free trial. All right. Yesterday, I had somebody who did not know that I offer a free trial. All right. And they came through the sales funnel and we had a demo call. I did do a demo call yesterday, kind of slipped in. But anyway, I did do a demo call yesterday and we went through and I did not mention the demo call at all. All right. I asked him about why he wants, why is he interested in Patient Stream? That's the name of my agency, what he needs, what his problems are. And then we talked about how our program works and how it would work for him. And then at the end, I said, all right, so well, I can't remember his name, whatever his name was, based on the way our conversation has gone and based on what you're looking to do, you're a perfect fit. These are my exact words, by the way. I always say this. Based on our conversation, what you've been doing, or what I see our system being able to do in your clinic, we are a perfect fit. So here's what I'd like to do to help you make a decision right now today. I'll give you a 14-day free trial. In those 14 days, we'll onboard you, we'll set you up, and you can see how well this works. And you can also see that you'll be able to replace your agency. And you'll do it without any financial investment on your part. Okay. I'll do that because of how confident I am in what we do. And then after that, we'll keep you on and we'll help you reach your goals. He was like blown away. However, I only did it at the appropriate time. I did it after he'd gone through like a 20-minute conversation where we talked about his goals, where we talked about the transformation he wanted to have happen. And then to me at the appropriate time, we're like, boom. All right, there we go. That's what this should be. That's what a 14-day trial should be used for. And the reason I think that it's one thing to do, it's one thing to do a 14-day free trial for a software. Okay. Your retention is not going to be great. You know, it's going to be, meaning your conversion is not going to be great, but software companies know that. Okay. It's another thing to do it when you're doing like a hybrid service, like what my agency does, and which I think you guys should do as well. Because when they come on and go through our onboarding process, which is your next question, they're sold on what we're doing. In fact, we just did, my team said, hey, let's go ahead and add some more users in this week. So I did a webinar. I added 11 free trials through that webinar. And of the 11, 2 did not convert. So 9 converted into fully paid members. And I think 2 or 3 have already upsold into our done for you service. Let's see here. So what do you do for DIY clients after a long onboarding? Do you send them any kind of recap showing their results? I do 2 to 3 Loom videos per week for done for you clients. Okay. You know, it's funny because we have been in the iteration process of, you guys have seen my content about slow onboarding, many of you, some of you not, but I've been really trying to go against the grain of what we used to do traditionally. We used to try and onboard all of the different parts and pieces of an account in one 45-minute thing. Okay. And it was rigorous. And it was like, well, how efficient can we be in setting up their high-level account and UpHex and all that kind of stuff? So when they get done, they have the whole thing. Well, I was talking with a friend who has a crazy retention rate. And he was explaining to me how what he does in his process and why he believes his retention is so ridiculous. And I took from that conversation something that I thought as a big opportunity, which was to slow down. Slow down and reframe what the beginning experience of a new customer looks like. So new customers, they decide how long they're going to stay with you within the first 48 hours of buying from you. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, that initial experience, what I have effectively not created, but how do I word this? What I believe is the proper way, the proper goal on that first call is to reframe what they think the goal is of your service. Let me just articulate that a little bit better. If they've worked with other agencies, SMMA, retainer model, whatever, if they've worked with those people, they come in with a story in their head that, if you don't address it, is going to be the linchpin for them quitting once they see any sign, any hint that they're on a similar trajectory with your service. Meaning, for example, I'm getting a bunch of leads, but I'm not getting appointments. As soon as that happens, boom, you're just like everyone else. Okay. So for me, what we do in that onboarding call is we're trying to slow down, simplify, but I also want to reframe the stories that live in their head. And that's why a couple of weeks ago, I posted the video that plays at the beginning of our onboarding call. Okay. My teams asked me to make a couple of iterations to update that recently, which I've done. But the whole idea is to make that onboarding call an experience. Okay. Because the administrative side of setting up an account can almost be like a bad experience sometimes, because it's boring, it's tedious, yada, yada, yada. So we need to and we're toying around with now a couple of different ideas. I won't move past this first onboarding call until it's dialed in. Okay. The conversion rate is perfect. Like the conversion rate from trial to sticky user, phenomenal, right? It definitely does that. But I also want to give people a good long-term experience. So we're messing around with a couple things. Oh, after a week, I'll just follow up with this. We do that initial onboard call. And then after a week, we have a follow-up call, which is where we assess and then we make a plan, right? So Heather on my team will meet with everybody after a week of them being in the program. By that time, they have gotten probably 15 leads, something like that, 15 leads, and we can gauge their response and their ability to respond to those leads. Based on that information, we say, awesome, let's set some goals and then let's create a plan. And sometimes that plan means that they need to get on a call with our team who does the work for them, a DIY, like that's an upsell. And sometimes it's, hey, you're doing great. Let's just hone in on a couple things. Here's some videos. Let's check back in after a week, right? So it's really just becoming a part of their team. Does that answer your question? What do you do in these demo calls? I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. That's a great question. I can give you the framework of a demo call. Actually, let me give you the framework of a demo call. Like, honestly, maybe next week, we could do an entire Q&A just on demo calls. They're incredibly simple, but they're also incredibly adaptable, meaning you need to be able to adapt them per person. So the number one thing, if you look at Alex Ramosi, I think I referenced this. He's got a closer protocol in his, and it's really good. But for me, what I do is the first minute, maybe jot some notes down. The first minute or two, I'm just getting to know them, build a relationship of trust, tell them about me, talk about them mostly, and then transition. And my transition statement is something to the effect of, all right, let's see who asked this question. Crap. I think it was Diane. All right, Diane. I'm super excited that you set up this call today, and I'd love to start helping you. What is it that brought you to the call today? Why did you want to talk today about what we do here at Patient Stream? And then they'll they'll start to articulate a broad idea. And then I will try and ask follow-up questions and clarify until we get down to one very specific thing. So they might say, we've been doing marketing for a while. We're getting some results, but we're not really getting the results we wanted. I'll say something like, okay, what kind of marketing have you been doing? What conditions have you been going after? And I'll get down to like a very specific and get clear on one thing. Okay. If I can get clear on one thing and I can, and I summarize and they agree, at that point in time, then I can move forward with what it is that I'm going to help them do. Okay. If I'm trying to help them do like all these different things, it's going to be very, you're not going to have a great call. Okay. So that's the most important step, is asking a question. Why are we on the call today? Let's get really clear on what it is that you're looking for. Follow-up questions to get down to one outcome that they're looking for. It doesn't mean that we can't do other things for them, but if that conversation is doing all of these things, they're not going to have, the conversation is not going to go in a very smooth way that results in them making a buying decision. Okay. The confused mind does not buy. So you have to have clarity. And so then I will talk about, like, if that's what their goal is, okay, I'll ask them, what have you tried? What hasn't worked? Okay. What are some things that you wish that the past agencies would have done? And so I'll get some of those ingredients, but really all those are, for me, are ingredients for me to adapt my 1 to 2 minute pitch once I'm done listening to those. Okay. And then after I've done that, after I've gathered my information, which, by the way, what I'm really doing, if you see any of my sales videos, I'm asking them what they want me to sell them. They're on that call because they want marketing. Okay. So I'm not going to sell them, I don't know, I'm not going to sell them a piece of equipment, or I'm not going to sell them coaching. They're on that call. They know, we both know that you got on this call for some type of marketing. I just want to narrow it down so that the rest of the conversation is centered, is focused. Okay. And then as I gather all of that information, that then puts nuance about how I should present my opportunity in my 2-minute follow-up pitch. Okay. Now, when I do a follow-up pitch, I'll generally do an adaptation of something like this. I'll say, awesome, Diane. I appreciate it. Looks like you're interested mostly in getting some more sciatica, so some decompression patients in. Is that right? Awesome. You're also interested in some neuropathy and knee, but for the purposes of this call and how this would work in your practice, can we just focus on the decompression for now? We can talk about the others later. Would that work? Okay, awesome. Now, when you've worked with agencies in the past, okay, those were run by people. And a lot of times, I'm sure you had to chase them, tell them when things weren't working. You felt like the lead quality wasn't great. Does that sound accurate? Yes, that sounds accurate. They're just like, they're with you when you say stuff like that. So what we've done is we've done two things. Number one, our Facebook ads are not run by people. People ask for way too much. They sleep, they get lazy, they make spelling mistakes, they make targeting mistakes. We are run by software. Okay, so that's number one. And the thing that we have found that works, that gives us the best results, is having a proven database of ads that you can just check, that are not check, but that you can just choose, click on them, and then they will run. All right. So if we run our ads with software, and if the ads that we run are proven to deliver results at a specific price, then what we can work with you on is the process that follows. So when you're getting 100 leads in a month, instead of getting 5 appointments, we can get you 35 appointments. So that's really what our system does. Does that make sense? And that's it, right? That's it. I don't show them anything. I don't do anything. And then I'll follow up with the question, because the person who is asking the questions is in control of the direction of the conversation. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does. Okay, well, let me ask you this. If we're focusing on, then I'll start like going towards a goal. If we're focusing on spinal decompression patients, what's the goal? Do we want one decompression patient, or do we want, 30 within, we need to be reasonable here, Diane, but what is your goal? What would you be happy with? 10. Okay. Well, to do 10, that's a very reasonable request. And honestly, you'd go in, we've got 2 campaigns that I'll recommend to you. Click on those and you can have leads that are qualified coming in the first day. Let me ask you about your practice. If we were to send you 25 leads in the next week that are qualified, is your team able to respond to those leads in a timely fashion? Yes. All right, awesome. What questions do you have for me? Really, honestly, this is we're very confident in how it works. We know that we get results, but before we move forward, before I ask you if this is interesting at all to you, what other questions do you have? And generally, it's like none if you get it that specific. So here's Diane, what I've found. After talking to you, you have very reasonable expectations. You're not expecting to get 100 patients from $100 of ads. What I'd like to do is make this really easy for you to start doing today. So like what I'll do is I will tie it to the outcome first. So for example, I'll send out an email to my list and I'll be like, do you want more spinal decompression cases? Basically, right? I know that those cases should be worth a lot of money. All right. So when people get on, I will establish, all right, so what are we here to do? We want spinal decompression cases. Awesome. How many cases could you handle? What are you looking for? Right. So if we tie it to like, well, 10, okay, 10, that would be awesome. I mean, 10 is probably $20,000 to $30,000 in new patient revenue, I'm guessing. Right. So if you tie it to that, then when you say, hey, to get $20,000 to $30,000 in revenue, it's going to cost you $2,000 in ad spend. That's easy, right? So you want to make sure that you anchor everything to an outcome. That way the ad dollars are just kind of like well, okay, so we're gonna have to spend this to get that. But if you reverse it and you start talking about lead costs at the beginning, it's very hard for them to tie it to an outcome. So just switch the conversation up. I don't know. I think when you're talking in terms of what it is that we do for local businesses, a grand slam offer, I haven't figured it out. Unless, like, if you're Alex Hormozy, where he would actually go and like do the sales for people, that's a pretty awesome offer. But if you are doing this to where you're trying to build a continuity and a base of customers and all that kind of stuff, and you want to really hone in on this thing, a grand slam offer is an offer that acquires people on a consistent basis and keeps them for a consistent basis. Because the only reason that you need a lot of money up front is because you didn't make enough money on the back, right? And the longer you keep people, the easier you will watch. It is the most bizarre thing to observe that when money comes in and out, like when we were charging a retainer, our revenue would flux quite a bit. But when you keep people, your revenue just does this. And it is the coolest thing ever, right? So a grand slam offer is an offer that gets qualified people and that keeps them for a long time. So hopefully, as we do more content like this, as we create more YouTube videos, hopefully I can impart what I've learned, not just me, my team, other awesome people in this community, what we've learned and what we can share about how to not just get clients. Because getting clients is actually a lot easier after you've done it just 2 or 3 times. Keeping clients, that is the endeavor of every single business. You keep clients and you will make so much money, it's silly, right? So I know that many of you right now are on the journey of getting clients. You'll get there. Speak specifically to them, meet with them in person, get to know who they are, understand their problems, understand where you can deliver a result, a transformation for them, and focus on that. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. We are out of time. This has been amazing. And we'll see you later.